Live from WTVO Rockford and your home team. Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
Gun violence erupts in Rockford. 3 people are shot. One of the victims, a teenager.
Lots of cheers for a Chicago police officer. Loved ones and his fellow officers celebrate a big milestone in his recovery after being shot more than a month ago.
And a group of talented Rockford students show off their art skills, the legacy they'll leave behind in the city. Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Eric Wilson.
Rockford police search for the gunman behind a triple shooting last night.
All 3 victims, including a teenager, survived. This happened just after 9 last night on Conklin Drive near the corner of Halsted and Rockton Avenue. Police have not released many details about the shooting. Evidence markers were all over a sidewalk and on the driveway of one of the homes there. Police have not reported anyone in custody. If you've got information that could help the investigation, call Rockford Police or Rockford Area Crime Stoppers. Illinois COVID cases continue to drop as we get closer to the first day of school for most students. State health leaders report 25,000 new cases this week. That's dropped every week for the last 4. The highest was 35,000 at the end of July. The virus is blamed for nearly 60 deaths this week. Most state-line counties, except Boone, remain at a high community level for spreading COVID.
It's a celebration for Chicago police officer Danny Golden. His family and fellow officers cheered as he was released from a rehab facility about a month and a half after he was shot trying to break up a bar fight. Golden is paralyzed from the waist down. Still, his father says he's determined to put in the work and walk down the aisle at his wedding next year.
He's really determined. He did 4 years in the Army. He did 7 years here with CPD. He's a tough kid. He's very resilient, and I think with his mindset and with his spirit and his support from everybody, that he'll be fantastic.
3 men have been charged in connection to that shooting. They've all pleaded not guilty. When you talk cops and donuts, it's usually not a positive connection, but local police officers leaned into that stereotype to raise money for a good cause. Winnebago County Sheriff's deputies spent their morning on top of Dunkin' Donuts. It's part of the annual Cop on a Rooftop fundraiser to benefit the Illinois Special Olympics. Morning meteorologist Joey Marino was with them. He spoke with Sheriff Gary Caruana. Caruana says this is a great opportunity for people to meet his officers.
And it allows our deputies to be involved in the community, and the community sees, hey, look, they're good guys, they're doing a job, and we want that community connection.
Police departments across the state participated in the fundraiser. Their goal, $1 million. The Ogle County Sheriff's Office was on the receiving end of a donation, specifically its K9 unit. Meet Hayes, and thanks to vested interest in canines, Hayes is now equipped with body armor. It's strong enough to provide protection against bullets and knife attacks, and they don't come cheap. They cost roughly $2,000 for each vest. They're good usually for about 5 years.
A sinkhole opened up in a Poplar Grove woman's yard. Now the village wants to help her out. An ice cream social fundraiser will be held downtown at Arturo's Mexican restaurant on Main Street. It starts at 2 Saturday. The hole formed about a year ago at Kelly Sepola's home on North State Street. She says she has no idea how it happened. Her dog actually fell in. Firefighters had to rescue the pup. Village leaders told her they can't use tax dollars to fix the hole for her since it's on private property. Rockford drivers are seeing some relief at the gas pump. GasBuddy.com reports the current average in the city is $4.03 a gallon. That's down from $4.81 a month ago. Still a far cry from what it was last August, $3.23 per gallon. As we approach the fall, gas prices tend to drop from their summer highs. However, Hannah Brandt reports a number of unknown factors could create a roller coaster effect on prices in the coming months.
As we roll into election season, the Biden administration hopes drivers are pumped by the recent drop in gasoline prices.
65 consecutive days of decline, so yes, a bit of much needed breathing room.
White House economic advisor Jared Bernstein says the president has worked hard to bring down costs for drivers. He points to efforts like the release of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve and a waiver that allows more widespread use of gasoline mixed with ethanol made from corn, not crude oil.
It's hard to bend a global price. I think we've done a lot in that regard.
The president's team wants to see this downward trend continue, but experts say there are a number of things that could send prices back up.
the driving habits of Americans as well as the global price for oil. And you really can't impact what's going on somewhere else around the world.
And AAA spokesman Andrew Gross says keep an eye on the sky as many American oil refineries are clustered along the Gulf Coast.
We're heading into the heart of hurricane season, and hurricane season can do a lot of disrupting.
Gross maintains leaders like President Biden typically can't do much to control the ups and downs of gas prices, but he says drivers should feel cautiously optimistic.
We should continue to see these moderating gas prices and gasoline fall into a more normal range.
And he adds that typically gas prices do tend to fall around this time of year. In Washington, I'm Hannah Brandt.
Rockford students team up with a few local artists to build their art skills. It's safe to say they did a pretty good job. They created 4 large mosaic totems over the last 2 weeks and revealed them today. It's part of the Rockford Area Arts Council Sparks program, which is a hands-on apprenticeship for students. Organizers say the kids should be proud of what they put together.
The kids are going to be able to put their mark on Rockford. I mean, these are going to be in Rockford for the rest of their life. They can tell their kids about these and their families about these.
The young artists are all middle and high school Rockford students. The January 6th committee may have a star witness testify.
That witness could be the former Vice President. Mike Pence is in talks to testify before the committee, just days after he said if they reached out, he would answer.
And a warning tonight for Apple users. The security threats targeting iPhones and iPads that could leave users powerless to do anything about it. That's coming up at 6.
So far, we've had a nearly perfectly average day, temperatures into the low 80s, but we have some rain chances to deal with throughout the weekend. I'll time it all out for you coming up in just a few minutes.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team with Eric Wilson, Mimi Murphy, Scott Lever, and meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
Former Vice President Mike Pence is in talks to testify before the January 6th committee.
Just a few days ago, Pence said he'd be open to an appearance. Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney, one of 2 Republicans on the committee, says Pence's testimony could be crucial to the investigation. It's a 180 from Pence's previous position on the committee. In June, he said the panel's investigation was just a distraction. If Pence agrees, the committee would focus on the alleged pressure he received from former President Donald Trump to overturn the 2020 election.
One of ISIS's most brutal and notorious members will spend the rest of his life in prison. El-Shaki El-Sheikh, a member of a group nicknamed the Beatles because of their British accent, was sentenced today for his role in the deaths of 4 U.S. hostages captured by the Islamic State. He was arrested in Syria in 2018 and found guilty of hostage-taking. 3 victims were executed in videotaped beheadings circulated online. El-Sheikh's lawyer said the conviction will be appealed.
The Biden administration will provide hundreds of millions more dollars in military aid to Ukraine. The U.S. is preparing to send just under $800 million in military assistance to the country as Ukrainians continue to push back against the Russian invasion. This includes missiles, weapon systems, ammunition, and a dozen surveillance drones. Almost 6 months into the war, the U.S. has already sent Ukraine more than $9 billion worth of weapons and equipment. The rain our meteorology team has been warning you about is almost here, actually here in some places.
Yeah, and there is a chance for thunderstorms this weekend. Jordan breaks it down for us next.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
Well, we saw a little bit of sunshine early on today, and that allowed our temperatures to warm into the low 80s in a couple of spots. But we have since seen a lot of that cloud cover increasing with this low pressure system that's also approaching as we get a little bit closer here now to the state line. If we look further off to the north and to the west, that's where we're seeing this low pressure system as it eventually will continue to sweep closer and closer to the state line, bringing with it waves of showers and even a couple of thunderstorms possible with it as well. There are currently some severe thunderstorm warnings and even a flash flood warning across parts of Iowa, where some of those thunderstorms have continued to work their way through. As they get closer and closer to the state line, they are expected to weaken just a little bit, so our severe threat remains a little bit lower, but still we want to make sure that we are remaining a little bit weather aware here later on this evening. This is also the water vapor imagery where we're seeing that low pressure system, that counterclockwise spin, very easily identifiable as it continues continues to work its way closer. It is bringing with it quite a bit of moisture, and that's where we could see some of those heavier showers and even a couple of thunderstorms throughout the weekend. We saw a little bit of cloud cover, at least, or a little bit of sunshine early on, but a little bit more cloud cover now as we get later into the evening. As there's our SkyTrack camera overlooking Freeport, the Park Hills Golf Course out there. Some pockets of blue now currently working their way in, but we are going to continue to see those clouds increasing as we get later on here into the evening. Temperatures remaining a little bit cooler now, seeing a little bit more of those clouds. We're down to 76 now in Rockford, 81 Janesville, 77 in Rochelle and DeKalb, but a lot of those areas picking up some of those heavier amounts of cloud cover as we continue to see some of those clouds increasing with this low pressure system working its way closer and closer to the state line. Temperatures, or at least dew point temperatures, remaining a little bit on the humid side. Some areas into the mid or even upper 60s for a couple of those dew point values. That makes it feel just a little bit humid out there here today as we continue to see that tug of warmer, moist air that is bringing it from the south as that low pressure system currently brings it into the area. So futurecast here, we're looking at all of this, currently bringing some of those heavier showers and storms over the next few hours, really beginning to get underway after around 6, 7, 8 o'clock. That's when that first wave looks to come through here in the next couple of hours. Another wave coming through overnight, and that continues to get a little bit of a break there as we get into overnight tonight, but early tomorrow morning, that's when another wave is expected to come through. So here's what we're looking at for this entire weekend. We're not looking at continuous heavy rainfall, but definitely could see some waves or pockets of that heavier rainfall and even some thunderstorms associated with that throughout the day tomorrow and even throughout the overnight tonight, and maybe even some scattered chances overnight tomorrow night as well. So that's what we're looking at. We continue to see some of those scattered showers and waves of showers and storms coming through as we get even into tomorrow evening. But then as we get later on into the day on Sunday, we get a little bit of a break from that, but we still hold on to that scattered or very isolated chance we could see a sprinkle or two as that low pressure system currently works its way out of the area. As far as severe weather is concerned, we're not looking at a whole lot, but that main threat remains further out to the west where they're currently dealing with some of those severe thunderstorm warnings. As they get closer to the state line, expected to weaken just a little bit, and that's where we're seeing a little bit of that lower amount of threat, at least locally, still remaining under a 1 out of 5 scale. That's the case for tomorrow as well, as that low pressure system currently pushes out of the area. That's where we still hold on to that very slight chance, or very small chance, we could see some of those scattered showers, potentially producing some gustier winds, maybe even some small hail. Now, recapping all this here really quick, we're down into the 60s overnight tonight, still holding on to the chances for showers and storms, officially 64 degrees for the overnight low. Tomorrow, we're back up into the 70s, but really not very much further than that, only topping out at 74 degrees, holding on to those waves and even showers and storms throughout the entire day, continuing on as well. We're looking a little bit cooler, though, beyond this, that low pressure system working its way out of the area. That brings high pressure in, and that'll keep us a little bit calmer and also a little bit quieter beyond that as well. 7-day forecast, we hold on to those chances of showers and storms over the next couple days, still in the 70s, but we're back into the low 80s with plenty of sunshine there for the middle of the week. Next chance for rain late next week.
Thanks, Jordan.
Scott's in next with sports.
He'll give us some reasons why things could be looking up this season for Jefferson High School's football team.
Now sports with sports director Scott Lever.
The Jefferson Jayhawks know they can't do anything about their football past. They can't change it, so they're focused on the present and the future, and there are signs that both could be much better for the program. Let's catch up with the Jayhawks in our football two-a-days. The Jayhawks' last conference win was in Week 8 of the 2019 season. Last season, they came up short in all 9 games, but progress isn't always reflected by a team's one-loss record. The Jayhawks do believe they're making progress.
Last year was last year. We had a lot of young guys and a lot of older guys. I mean, most of those guys have came back. So our journey is on the rise.
We just got that mindset, like a short mindset. We don't want to look in the past. We just want to get better.
The Jayhawks welcome in a talented sophomore class that had a respectable freshman season last year. It includes Dontrell Ford, Tabari Kelly, and Blake Adrian.
All of those guys are all over 6'3", and they're all sophomores.
And then there's big Prince Williams. He'll slot in at defensive end.
He's running at 18 miles per hour. He's in the 1,000-pound club. He hasn't even seen a ceiling yet.
The Jayhawks return a couple big seniors on their lines in Xavier Dawsel and Diallo Dubois. They also return 2 big athletic receivers in Randy Johnson and Tyler Gaines. Throwing them the ball this year will be junior Chauncey Jackson, a track and field standout who placed in the triple jump at state last spring. Jackson brings a lot of versatility to the Jayhawks.
He can run, he can throw, he can cover your best receiver, and he loves challenges. If you tell him he can't do something, then, you know, he's looking to not prove you wrong, but just show that, hey, don't put a cap on my ability.
Jackson will be a difference maker on defense at cornerback, too. The biggest difference maker on defense will be linebacker Joseph Alvarez. He was honorable mention all-conference last year.
His IQ of football, he knows every single position. He knows where everybody's supposed to be lined up.
How big of a step forward can the defense take?
A huge step. I think we've been growing a lot, and now that we kind of have people stepping up on defense, I think we're going to be good.
On the second half of our two-a-days tonight at 9 and 10, we'll shift our focus to the Northwest Upstate Illini Conference and Lena Winslow. Our weekly half-hour high school football show Overtime returns tonight. Reagan Holgate and I will preview the upcoming season. Tim Bailey will join us with his thoughts on the Nick 10. Catch Overtime tonight and every Friday through the season live at 11 p.m. on Fox 39. That's right after GN Sports Night. That's sports. We'll be right back.
Jordan will have a final look at weather in a moment.
First, here's what News Nation has planned for later.
Tonight, is it the airline's fault or the government? New ways America's three-letter agencies are failing us. Plus, is Russia really to blame for the political divide between Americans? That's On Balance. Here's Ashley.
Thanks. Tonight on Banfield, the comedy campaign against Dr. Oz. Funny, yes, but could it cost him the Senate? It might depend on how you like your veggies. Plus, would you pay for a house to play? A famous writer's home can be yours to rent or own. But what does it cost to live like Dr. Seuss? That's tonight on Banfield on News Nation.
That is all coming up later on News Nation. You can watch it on any of the channels you see here in this list or head to newsnation.com.
And our first one, interactive radar from Rockford Auto Glass and More, finally beginning to show some of those showers and even some thunderstorms beginning to pop up in the area. That's going to be the case throughout the overnight tonight and throughout the day tomorrow as well. Temperatures remaining a little bit below average here throughout the weekend. Down into the 70s for tomorrow, only 74 degrees, 77 on Sunday, still the isolated chance for a sprinkle. But we dry out and temperatures into the low 80s all the way through the week. Another chance for rain coming late next week.
All right, thanks, Jordan.
And thank you for spending some of your time with us. Stay safe.